Hello and welcome to the Wheel of Crime podcast, the podcast that's ran by two ladies who play games, mumble profanities, and laugh way too often. Also, this podcast does cover topics of sensitive nature, and as such, listener discretion is advised.
Well, hello, gobble, gobble, gobble to all of our Canadian listeners. Happy Thanksgiving. My name is Jen.
My name is Emily. You can't tell me that's your authentic turkey gobble.
It sure as heck is, Em. Just because yours is better doesn't mean mine's unauthentic.
I don't know if mine's necessarily better, but I feel like I could maybe trick a blind person who's maybe never heard a turkey in real life.
Maybe. I am very excited for Thanksgiving this year. We're recording this a little bit in advance because this is also Emily's birthday weekend. I'm really pumped for it this year.
My birthday? Why?
I don't know. We haven't had a real Thanksgiving since before the pandemic, and I'm really looking forward to it this year because I'm just like ready for the festiveness to begin.
I know, right? Well, and people just feel happier in general. So I feel like that already makes it like so much more to look forward to.
Yeah, and I'm excited because the Saturday is your birthday, so I get to spend the whole day with you, probably, because I'm going to force myself on you, and we'll probably eat sushi or something, so it'll be great.
Oh, hell yeah. That's my thing is, like, I'm not usually, like, a birthday person, so I never know what to do, but I am going to try and make an effort this year to, like, celebrate the occasion, because, I guess with every year that goes by, it's not like you're ever going to be celebrating being that old ever again, so you might as well make the most out of it, I suppose. I will be turning a whole 26 this year. Oh, scary.
That's the spookiest part of this episode.
That for sure is definitely the spookiest part of this episode. I'm afraid, anyways. But yeah, and so, I don't know, we'll definitely probably get sushi at some point, and maybe, like, do a little bit of thrifting, maybe have some beverages in the evening, haven't decided yet. People keep telling me that I should book some bowling lanes for my birthday, and I keep telling them no, that I will not be doing that because I don't like bowling. And that's all I have figured out so far.
I mean, fair. I'm just gonna be along for the ride, doing whatever you want to do for that day. So, I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, hell yeah. But on that note, since today is our specialty Thanksgiving episode that you guys are listening to, let's spin our wheel of questions and get into it.
Yes, spin away.
So, does your family have any special Thanksgiving traditions?
Our only real tradition is just like having turkey dinner, and so we usually do that. My mom usually makes me tofurkey now, which is always a little questionable, but I love the effort.
Nice. I had a minute when you said tofurkey where I tried to think in my head on what that was. And then I was like, oh yeah, it's fake turkey. Ah, yes, I remember now. Tofu turkey. Fake turkey. Furkey. It's a furkey. A tofu furkey.
A tofu furkey. Honestly, the one she got for me last year was pretty good. I feel like the vegetarian meat replacements are getting better and better every year. So
I actually have to agree with that. I've had some really good tofu, especially in the last couple of years. I saw there's a restaurant in the town of which we come from, where they're very known for doing Western style dishes, and apparently they added tofu as one of their appetizers, but they do it where it's like a crispy, spicy barbecue, crispy tofu. And I was good. Delightfully surprised. I was like, I could dig this. This is good stuff.
Hey, it is good stuff. I don't know. Tofu is crispy tofu is elite level delicious in my books.
I had a really good salt and vinegar tofu once where they cubed it and right? So it was like a cubed tofu that they had marinated in vinegar and then they did like a light coating of flour on the outside and with
Mm-hmm.
like salt, and then baked it.
Elite.
Amazing. And then I tried duplicating the recipe myself and almost lit my oven on fire, so we won't be doing that again.
Well, maybe I'll make it for you someday, because I do that kind of thing all the time. I've never tried adding vinegar to the equation. I usually do like a salt and pepper baked tofu like that, but I feel like a vinegar one would be real tasty.
Yeah, because apparently all you do is you just get it semi-soft and then just like have it sit in a bag with vinegar for like a day or two, and then you cook it after that.
Sounds freaking good. Do you have any Thanksgiving traditions though, my dearest Em?
I feel like it's really basically the same as everybody else. You know, your fam comes over, you get the turk, you have some pie, visit with your fam, that kind of thing. My mom does try to make it a little bit, not necessarily like different per se, but she likes to come up with different like family themed things to do every year. So I don't know if I would call that necessarily like a tradition, but I do know one of my like cousins in the family, they like to watch a Charlie Brown Thanksgiving after dinner. Every Thanksgiving is like their
Cute.
family thing, and I always thought that was super cute. My personal Thanksgiving tradition is to stuff myself full of pumpkin pie. So that's one. But yeah, no, other than that, I feel like everything else is like pretty normal.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I'm just thinking about it now. Oh no, in 2019 we were home for Thanksgiving. I was thinking, because I was like, weren't we away in 2019 for Thanksgiving? But that was 2018. We were in Berlin together on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we were somewhere between Berlin and Prague, and then instead of stuffing myself full of pumpkin pie, I stuffed myself with baked potato and dumplings, which I'm not mad about. It was pretty delicious.
Pretty good vibe, if you ask me.
The best vibe. Well, on that note, let's spin for our next question. So, what's your favorite Thanksgiving food? Food specifically.
It's not even a debate. The answer is mashed potatoes. It is the best holiday food and the best food in general. Mashed potatoes are elite and no one can change my mind. This is a TED Talk. There's no debating here. If that's not your answer, well, you're wrong.
See, I can't remember who it was, but one of my family members, because Mom used to do this thing once upon a time where it was almost like a not like a pot roast, but like a potluck. That's what I'm thinking about, where like people would bring over their own dishes sometimes as like a featured dinner, especially if like maybe we're going to like a couple different Thanksgiving dinners for the weekend.
Right.
And my auntie one year, she made, it was like a cheddar garlic baked mashed potato.
Oh.
And I think about it all the time still. But then it broke my heart because she did it one year. And then she had said that the reason was that there was too many leftovers, but the next, for like since then, she does it as like a steamed broccoli and wild rice thing that's instead like a garlic cheddar thing instead of the potatoes. And I'm like heartbroken. I wish I could go back and eat those potatoes again. It was so good.
We should just start like a GoFundMe campaign for her to bring those back so that I can also enjoy them.
I know. Well, and it was one of those things too where like she had made a ton, so that's probably why she had leftovers. But like I think sometimes people just get this like weird thing in their head where they're like, well, obviously I had leftovers, which means nobody wanted to eat it.
Nah, I would have taken all of those leftovers and ate it happily for a month afterwards.
Oh, literally, that was like me. I remember sitting there and like wishing my stomach was bigger. I was like, I'm so sick, but I want more mashed potatoes.
That's all I want. I ate too many other things, and I wish that I hadn't only mashed potatoes on the plate next year.
Right? Well, that's like so personally, my favorite Thanksgiving food, because my mom does it a particular way each year, is she always hand makes stuffing, and I am a stuffing queen. I will literally load up my plate with nothing but stuffing, to the judgment of everybody else. Fuck all y'all. and I will eat the whole thing. I love stuffing. It's like the one time of the year where you can have it where it's like literally baked in the turkey asshole, and then you get to eat it. It's fucking delicious.
My partner, he also is a stuffing queen, and
The queen.
he's a stuffing girly, and
Yeah.
that's also his favorite part.
I don't know what it is. It's just like it like feeds my spirit. I like smell it being made, and I'm like, oh god, I'm gonna fuck up some stuffing here in a hot 20 minutes.
Yeah. See, I love the mashed potatoes, and my mom usually makes like fresh rolls and like
Oh, that's
freshly
good.
baked bread with like butter. Are you fucking kidding me? I like that's all I want to eat ever.
Again, I wish my stomach was bigger on this one day of the year, because then this stuff happens and I'm like, why can't it be Thanksgiving every day?
Gotta like fast for a week in advance.
Yeah, just like when we go for all you can eat sushi.
Literally.
Right.
All right, let's spin for our next question.
Yes. So what's your favorite Thanksgiving dessert? Because I know a lot of people like to do different stylized desserts for Thanksgiving.
That's tough because as a child, I hated pie. Hated it. Would not eat it. Was like, that's disgusting. In like the last year, I've started to come around on pie a bit and have it a bit more. So I like pumpkin pie. I just don't really ever eat it, and like, I don't know, I'm not really a dessert girly. I'm more of like a savory girly. So like, I thrive during the mashed potato portion of the meal, but desserts have always just kind of been like a thing for me. So,
Really?
But I think this year, yeah, I know. But I think this year my brother is making his homemade pumpkin pie, and I'm excited to have that.
That does sound really good. See, kind of like I hinted at before, I'm obsessed with pumpkin pie. This is like the one time of the year you can eat it where they sell it consistently. And like, I used to, like last year, I remember going to, there was like a little like a tiny grocery store, but they would make in their bakery. It was like a handheld pumpkin pie almost, and it would come with like, I'm trying to remember what the kind of berry is called. I'm pretty sure it's called like a gooseberry or something, but it would have like gooseberries on it, and it came with like handmade whipped cream, and like I ate way too many of those. Like I still want more, don't get me wrong, but I'm really looking forward to that. And then my grandma, she really loves to make a Saskatoon berry pie, because they have wild Saskatoons that grow it on their farm, and that's hella delicious. So I'm like, gonna have a piece of that as well. And then my auntie makes a homemade banana cream pie that she also likes to bring over for Thanksgiving. And literally all I do is I just sit there and eat tons of pie. Like, it's so bad. Like, I'm literally just full of like stuffing and pie, and like I'm on cloud nine. I'm like, everybody else can have the turkey. They can have everything else. I'm pleased. This is the life that I've chosen for myself, and I couldn't be happier.
I love that for you. My mom also does usually make like a warm apple crumble and like serves it with ice cream and like cinnamon. That's a tasty, tasty,
the vanilla
tasty
ice
treat.
cream. It's got me in a chokehold. Love it.
Yeah,
love it,
for sure.
It. All right, let's spin for our next question. So, I believe this is our last question. So, to finish it off, what are you thankful for this year?
What am I thankful for this year? I'm thankful for my bestie, Emily. I'm thankful for my little bird, Appa, who is not here while I'm recording, because otherwise she chirps the whole time and you guys yell at us.
Yeah.
And my partner, John. Aw, my little family.
Cute. I, too, am thankful for my bestie, who I'm staring at right now. I'm thankful for pie.
I'm thankful for mashed potatoes.
I'm thankful for good chefs. I'm thankful for obviously my little kitties. I like to bring them home some turkey so that they get to have their own little turkey dinner.
Oh, that's cute.
Isn't it? And I'm thankful for my partner who lets me eat all this pie and doesn't judge me.
Oh, I love that for you.
Very cute. So I did a little oopsie this week. I wanted to do like a general description for Thanksgiving, and I made another one that's kind of biased towards my own story. So since you're going first today, I think that you should do your story first, and then I'll describe my story afterwards. Does that fly?
Sounds good. I'll do an impromptu description for Thanksgiving then. If you Americans who listen don't know, Thanksgiving is the same in Canada pretty much, except for we celebrate in October for some reason. Thanksgiving's a complicated holiday. I don't know how I feel about it historically, but I like the food. And that's it for my description.
I think that's a great description. I think you nailed it. Props to you.
Thanks. I did my best Emily impersonation for that one.
Beautiful. Yes, I'm very curious to hear your story today.
All right. So today I'm going to tell you about a man. And this man's name is Paul Michael Merhige, and he was born in 1974. He had two younger sisters who were twins. He was an honors student and a varsity athlete at a prominent Miami prep school called Gulliver Prep. He played football, baseball, and soccer, and led the French Honor Society. In 1992, Paul graduated third in his class and was a very well-liked person. Paul's football coach, Bob Schweed, said Paul was a success story in the making. Bob said, quote, "I thought he'd be running a company or a business or something like that." One of Paul's friends recalled that even at age 17, Paul worried that he might go bald. Quote, "I guess his father didn't have a lot of hair, so he tried to start using Rogaine in high school as a preventative measure," said the classmate. Paul loved his family a lot. There was even a promise he made on his senior page in the high school yearbook from Paul to quote, all 32 of his family. The yearbook quote said, "I love you now and will forever." After graduating from high school, he went on to study at the University of Miami, and he wanted to become a doctor. But after graduating university, he never held a job and was supported by his parents well into his mid-30s. Paul's mom said that he had quite an extensive history of mental health problems. He suffered from obsessive compulsive disorder and chronic depression. This is when Paul and his sister started to have some troubles with one another. Paul was thought to be jealous of his sister's success, and it was theorized that perhaps he felt like a failure and needed someone to blame, or perhaps something else entirely. Whatever it was likely something that became a slight, and that slight became resentment, and that resentment became rage. Paul sought a protection order from law enforcement after he accused his sister of trying to kill him, but he dropped the request a few weeks later. In 2006, Paul shot himself in a supposed suicide attempt and allegedly threatened once to cut the throat of his sister Carla. Carla requested a restraining order against Paul, but she also withdrew her request a few weeks later. So I think it's safe to say that Paul and his family had quite a tumultuous relationship, and they weren't on great terms anymore.
Sounds like it.
Paul became a troubled man, suffering from insomnia, obesity, and a receding hairline, which was his apparent greatest fear in high school.
that might be karma, but I don't. Who knows? Maybe.
Along with his OCD and depression, he skipped his medicine and routinely threatened to kill his sister Carla. This obviously led him and his sisters to having a very tense and distant relationship. Now, on to Thanksgiving. On November 27th, 2009, 17 of Paul's family members decided to gather for Thanksgiving dinner that year, as many families tend to do. The family gathered at Paul's cousin-in-law's house, and his cousin-in-law was named Jim Sitton. Jim's house was in an upscale gated community in Jupiter, a small beach town some 55 miles north of Miami. Jim said that he doesn't know who invited Paul to his home, but he thought little of it when Paul's father called to say that Paul was on his way and needed directions. Jim said his wife's cousin was always on the fringe of the family life and rarely attended gatherings. He had only met Paul twice and hadn't seen him in more than a decade. However, Paul did in fact make it to dinner that day, and he sat through 3 hours of Thanksgiving Day dinner, eating nothing at all, and plotting the moment when he would kill his family members. So he's sitting at the table, ain't eating shit, and is like, how am I gonna kill these people?
But here's my thing, like, why eat nothing? Like, even if you are planning to kill somebody, I would assume you'd still be hungry.
Yeah, right, Paul? The mashed potatoes are right there. Just have some.
Come on, Paul. Like, you're gonna skip out on the stuffing? The one time a year where you get to eat it? Come on.
Paul made many bad decisions that day. Jim said that the holiday meal was a happy one. His 6-year-old daughter, Michaela, wrote cards on how thankful she was for her family and strung them on a clothesline. She'd made one for everyone attending, which is super cute.
Cute.
After the family cleared their plates, they gathered around the piano to sing Christmas songs. Michaela sings songs as part of an impromptu dress rehearsal for her performance of The Nutcracker at school the next day. While the family sang, Paul went to his car and returned back inside with a gun. Jim said there were no arguments, warnings, or red flags, and all of a sudden, Paul opened fire. He shot and killed both of his twin sisters, Carla and Lisa, who were both 33. Carla was a real estate agent, and Lisa was pregnant at the time. Paul then shot and killed his 76-year-old aunt, Ramond Joseph, and his final victim was his little cousin, Michaela, who had fled to hide in her room, in her bed, which is where Paul hunted her down to kill her.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. Jim doesn't think Paul planned to kill Michaela, but he thinks he became jealous when he saw the family delight in her singing. Quote, "He tried to snuff out the light," Jim said. "He came into a baby's room, he saw her innocence, and he walked in and purposefully killed her." Which is heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
Jim said he had pre-planned this whole thing. His goal was to shoot his sisters and punish his parents. According to Jim, Paul also pointed the gun at his uncle, but it got jammed twice and wouldn't fire. Paul shot his aunt, as I said, and Paul's brother-in-law, Patrick Knight, was in critical but stable condition at a hospital. Another man who was just there, Clifford Gabrea, who was 52, was grazed by a bullet. After the murders, Paul turned and started to walk away and said to the remaining family members, quote, "I've been waiting 20 years to do this," which is a disgusting thing to say.
Yeah, and in like 20 years, do you know how easy it would be to just find a therapist?
Literally. So he was 35 when he did these murders, so that would mean he had been thinking about it since he was 15.
Right, which is weird anyways, because didn't you say his graduation quote was literally about how much he loved his family?
Yeah, it was. And he had a really close relationship with his sisters when he was in high school and was like always talking about how he would do anything to protect them. And people in high school were literally flabbergasted when they heard this because it was just like,
well, like
so...
It was one of those things though where he was saying and doing those things to purposefully hide the fact that he felt differently?
It's possible. Or it's possible that he just said, "I've been waiting 20 years to do this," when really, like, it hadn't been that long, and he was just kind of, like, dramatizing
really more, like,
it.
the last 20 minutes?
Yeah. I mean, it was obviously really well thought out because leading up to this, he had purchased a gun, he'd purchased clothes, he had like taken out like small amounts in cash like leading up to the event so he would have some stowed away. Because after he killed these people, he left the scene of the crime and was on the run for 5 weeks. Jupiter police were looking in bodies of water near the home. Though the search wasn't based on any specific tip, Officer Sally Collins Ortez said. Investigators also alerted Michigan authorities to be on the lookout for Paul because a doctor in Detroit had treated him in the area 3 months earlier. And after the incident, Jim said he dreaded returning to his home, but was comforted when he walked into his daughter's room. Beside her bed, he wept when he read for the first time a novel that she had been writing about a squirrel. Michaela was a voracious reader who loved to sing, dance, and tell stories, and she would have turned 7 only a few days after she was killed.
That is so depressing. See, there is no justifiable reason to hunt down and shoot a 6-year-old.
Literally, she's done nothing to you.
Especially if a man in his 30s. Like, disgusting.
Yeah. After the murders, Paul fled to the Florida Keys, where he reportedly planned to commit suicide. After the 5-week manhunt, Paul was finally taken into custody January 2nd, 2010, on Long Key when the Paff family who owned Edgewater Resort saw his face on the local news and recognized him as one of their customers. Paul was charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder and 2 counts of attempted first-degree murder. He accepted a plea deal and was sentenced to 7 consecutive life sentences for the murders. And that's my tale. Happy Thanksgiving.
Nice.
Yeah, nothing like some good old family beef for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, instead of good old family chicken. Good one. Or good old family turkey. But yeah, no, I love how every time you share a story with me, not every time, but most of the time, you always find a new way to make me feel grossed out and horrified by men. Always the men. Gross. All of them.
I mean, it's like easy pickings, you know, if I'm being honest. There's so many terrible men who have done terrible things. So really, I don't know if we'll ever run out.
Well, that's the thing, too, and like, people can say whatever they want, but it's like, it's not like we search up stories and we're like, crimes that men committed, you know? It's, oh, yeah, what's a crime where this happened? And it's like, oh, this guy went and did this, and you're like, oh, that's ironic, considering every other story we talk about is a man doing something really shitty for no reason.
And a Florida man, nonetheless. It's always a Florida man.
Florida man. All right. Well, on that note, I guess my story will probably be a little bit lighter. So maybe not the worst thing ever that I'm going last.
Yeah, a little bit of a happier ending, hopefully.
Yeah. Do you want to hear then my description that was supposed to be for this whole episode, but I apparently only made for myself?
Yeah, take it away.
Okay, so Turkey, officially known as the Republic of Turkey, is a transcontinental country located mainly in Anatolian Peninsula in Western Asia, with a small portion on the Balkan Peninsula in Southeast Europe. It shares borders with the Black Sea to the north, Georgia to the northeast, Armenia, Azerbaijan, and Iran to the east, and Iraq to the southeast, Syria and the Mediterranean Sea to the south, the Aegean Sea to the west, Greece and Bulgaria to the northwest, Cyprus is locked off in the south coast, and Turks form the vast majority of the nation's population, and Kurds are the largest minority. Ankara is Turkey's capital, while Istanbul is its largest city and financial center.
Well, not the Turkey I thought we were going to be talking about today, but it is a turkey.
No and yes. I had a massive struggle finding a Thanksgiving story because I wanted to do the thing that I do where it's not like a super heavy story, especially because we're supposed to be thankful. So I found a different type of turkey to talk about, and I have stories related to that turkey that I'm going to talk about.
All right, well, just take her away,
All right, so to start, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Black Sea because it has a very interesting story tied to it, and it is and it borders Turkey. So, the Black Sea lies between the countries of Ukraine, Georgia, Turkey, Russia, Romania, and Bulgaria. This inland sea is just over 460 and 36 square kilometers in size, and it has a depth of 7,200 feet. In ancient times, trade ships used to navigate its turbulent waters, and in more modern times, significant World War I and II battles were fought on its waters. But the Black Sea is more than just a mass of water. It has many legends and myths connected to it, and in Ukraine, there is one tale that has been passed down for generations, explaining the sudden bursts of turbulence and violent waters. So, this legend tells of a sensible man named Bogatyr, who is known for his courage and strength, and he has a magical arm. And it is said that this arm was a mythical arrow, but for all the power that it wielded, it was destructive and harmful. If the power of this arm was given to the wrong person, it would cause wars and despair. The arrow could boil water, melt the earth, and set the air on fire and kill. So, the name for his arm is the arrow. just to clear that up.
Okay. Interesting. I now will also be naming both of my arms.
The arrows?
Yes. Meet Arrow 1 and Arrow 2.
I love that. But yes, and when Bogatyr sensed that his time on Earth was nearing its end, he began to worry about the future of the arrow, and the next person who possessed it might not be as sensible with it as he was, so he decided to hide it. Even though his sons were great warriors and honest people, Bogatyr feared that their young age and extreme power of the arrow would make them unable to resist temptation. So he enlisted them instead to help him hide the arrow. So they were instructed to take the arrow and toss it deep into the Black Sea. And this is where I get confused, okay? So you know how I just told you that the arrow is the name of his arm?
Yeah.
They then talk afterwards as if it's a literal arrow. So I'm not really sure if this is supposed to be symbolic of anything, but I'm just going to roll with it, okay?
Okay. So sure. Yeah.
Okay? I know.
Symbolic, maybe, of something.
Yeah, it's something. That's kind of what I'm thinking, but I'll read it as it says, and then we can decide that afterwards. But they were instructed to take the arrow and toss it into the deep into the Black Sea, where future generations would not be able to find it. On arriving at the Black Sea, they decided rather to hide the arrow in the mountains and tell their father that they had fulfilled his wish. Bogatyr had already known their plans and sent them back to complete their task under the threat that they would not receive his blessings until the arrow was lying at the bottom of the Black Sea. The sons complied, and legend has it that as soon as the arrow touched its waters, that it turned black and began to boil. It is believed that the sea cannot rest, and that the waves and boiling water that occurred at time is the Black Sea trying to get rid of itself of the arrow. And that's the story of kind of why the Black Sea is the way that it is. So, I thought it was interesting, though, because, so this particular story is from the Ukraine, but across all of the bordering countries for that region, they all have a story on why the Black Sea is the way that it is, because they have a bunch of parts where they talk about, its boiling waters, but also how, it's extremely turbulent, sinks ships, horrific storms, and I would be interested to know why exactly that is, personally.
Yeah, that is curious. My theory on the arrow thing, I wonder if it's a kind of like a glove where it's something you could put on your arm.
Maybe. See, my thought is maybe it was some kind of fighting skill that got mistranslated into being an object, because he does say that his arm is also the arrow. So it's okay, but how did they take their father's arm and throw it into the ocean? Unless it's a symbolic thing where they're meant to cast off this ability or skill that he's taught them to protect other people.
Maybe they literally chopped his arm off and were it's going to the bottom of the sea, Dad. You ain't got no choice in this.
Literally, that was my other thought. I'm unless they literally mean to take his arm off and toss it in the ocean like a Barbie leg. You know what I mean?
I mean, that would be hilarious. I would love to see someone's arm being ripped off and thrown like a Barbie leg into fucking the Black Sea.
Yeah, right? Like a toddler going on a rampage. Fuck you, Mom! Tossing legs and arms into the ocean. I could see it.
That would be hilarious and terrifying.
Right? So I have that one story just because it really spoke to me for how kind of the mystere behind it and like how it's a little bit weird. But on that note, I do have another story for you because it didn't feel right to just do one short one about an ocean when I brought up turkeys and Thanksgiving. So I'm going to tell you a story about a family next, and this is a very popular legend from Turkey.
Okay, take her away.
So, once upon a time, there was a beautiful girl with shiny blonde hair that ran down to her shoulders, and she had very sweet little hazel eyes that sparkled at nighttime. She was as beautiful as she was honest, faithful, and kind-hearted. Her name was Sarikzi. See, some of these names, I tried searching for the pronunciations, and Google literally gave me a different answer every time. So I don't know why that is, but I'm just going to roll with how I'm reading it. I know it's wrong. I am very sorry. Yes, so her name is called Sarikis, and she lived in the village of Kavur, and her father's name is Sibak Baba. So whoever saw Syracuse would fall head over heels in love with her on first sight. They would beg her to get married to them, but Syracuse would turn down all offers and refuse to get married. One day, her father decided to go on a pilgrimage. Back then, the only transport was on beasts of burden, and it would take him about 3 years to get back from these arduous journeys. So that would be horses mostly, I believe. And so before leaving, Sabak Baba sat his daughter in front of him and gave her some sound advice. "My daughter," he said, "I will be away from you for a long time. During my absence, promise to live a life that no one can hold you against." Syracuse nodded and promised her father, and just like that, Silbak Baba left for his pilgrimage of 3 years. Upon his return, the villagers surrounded him in the village square and told him that Syracuse had become a prostitute. They asked him to kill Syracuse to restore the family honor or to leave the village forever. The father contemplated day and night. He knew he had to kill his own daughter to be able to continue living in Kavur Maculiar village, and if he did not kill her himself, the villagers would do it themselves anyways. But as a father, he did not have the heart for taking his own daughter's life, so he found a way out. He took his beloved daughter and a few geese and set out to climb on the Kaz Daji, also known as Goose Mountain, and leave her in the arms of fate. He imagined his daughter would perish in peace up on the summit of the Kazdagi, and Syracuse understood her father's plans with just a look. In an instant, she read his heart. She stopped and looked behind her and wished him a safe journey back to the village. She took the geese and continued to walk up the mountain towards the summit, and then she disappeared. Years passed by, and yet Silbak Baba would still cry day and night for his beloved daughter. Va ve kizim, sarikizim, he would mourn, "Oh, my daughter, my beloved daughter." And one day villagers came to visit Silbak Baba. They told him that merchants and passengers of Edremite claimed to have seen a blonde girl who would lead them and show them all the way when they got lost upon the mountain. They said that she had geese with her. One day the geese went down on the farms and damaged the crops. Upon the villagers' request, Syracuse piled pebstones inside of her skirt and threw them towards the farms where her geese kept descending. The pebblestones formed the hill that blocked the geese from attacking the harvest. The father had known that this was none other than his beloved daughter. So, to put a little bit of non-literary sense on that, basically they're saying that Syracuse caused a rock slide that then blocked the geese from coming down and attacking the farms.
Aw, she sacrificed herself.
Not quite yet. She just threw rocks down a hill. We're still good.
Okay.
So, the father knew that this was none other than his beloved daughter. He set out on a journey to find her. The villagers asked, "Have you gone mad? How about the snow, the slippery rocks, and the hills?" And yet the father was burning inside with the fire of guilt. He went the way in a blink of an eye. Then he saw a beam of light that carried all of his fatigue away. The snow, the hills, and the slippery rocks disappeared. And there she was, Syracuse, in flesh and blood, standing right in front of him. She ran into the arms of her father with no complaints. "Come, father, I made you some warm soup and I've prepared a bed you can sleep on," she said joyfully. They spent the night chatting and laughing together as if nothing had ever happened. And in the morning, father asked Syracuse for some water to wash himself and to pray and thank God for finding his father alive, or finding his daughter alive. Upon his request, Syracuse quickly brought a jug full of salty ocean water. Silbak Baba said, "The water is too salty to wash myself," and Syracuse apologized and rotated the jug towards the valleys, and the jug suddenly became filled to the brim with sweet water from the Kazdagi in a blink of an eye. Silbak Baba then realized that his daughter was blessed. He had told Syracuse that he was sorry for believing the lies of the villagers, and just then a black cloud covered the entire sky. In the blink of an eye, Syracuse disappeared, as her father had finally realized that she was blessed and had unlocked her secret. He then cursed the villagers for defaming his innocent daughter and separating them. Today, there's no one alive in Kurvermakulier village, and the village chief, named Mutar, returned the village stamp back to the district governorate. This signifies that the village does not exist anymore, and the name of the village is now erased from the registry of districts in existence within the region. So even though this village did exist once upon a time, since then it no longer exists anymore. And so, to kind of wrap up my story, Silbak Baba roamed the mountains until he died and is now called the Baba Tipi. So the hill that he died on is literally called Father Hill. And villagers made tombs by stacking stones up on top of each other. The hill Syracuse's tomb is located is called the Syracuse Tepe, or Syracuse Hill. And her father's tomb, like I said, is called Baba Tepe. So locals visit these two hills every August to commemorate the tragedy of Silbak Baba and his blessed daughter Syracuse.
Aww.
And that is the end of my little Thanksgiving story. It's not too long, but what I did find interesting about that story is it's definitely, I think, meant to be a lesson in not believing what people tell you, because at the end of the day, it turns out she was never even a prostitute in the first place. It was just something that the villagers came up with, hoping that he would kill his daughter, because she wouldn't marry anybody.
I feel like it's a lesson that people suck, and they say rude shit all the time.
And they like to make up stories to explain away why on earth some beautiful girl who wants to be around nice people doesn't want to marry you, instead of looking inward and being like, maybe I'm a shitty person.
Literally. I think that's it. I think we've gotten to the root of this.
Literally. And yes, well, that's pretty much the end of my story. I got nothing more to add other than what you just said, which is that people are shitty, and I think that might be the lesson in today's episode, if I'm going to be honest.
Truly. Well, let's spin for our topic for next week's Spooktober episode.
Let's. Ooh, okay. So it looks like next week we are going to be covering haunted locations.
Ooh, that one's fun. I have some ideas of what I might do.
Me too. I'm excited. This is a good time of year for me. I'm very stoked on being able to find you a good story. But yes, is there anything else you want to add before we wrap up today's episode?
No, that's all from me. Happy Thanksgiving. That's pretty much all I want to say. Hope you guys eat some tofurkey or turkey, whatever your preference is.
Yep. Happy Thanksgiving. Yes, people do suck, but maybe this weekend they'll suck a little less.
Depending on your family, I guess.
Yes, but we're sending out the good vibes for you, just in case. And then, yeah, so if you like today's episode, you can leave us a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. So that would be Apple Podcasts, Spotify. 5 stars does help us reach out to new listeners, so that would be greatly appreciated. Besides that, we also have our email, which is wheelofcrime@gmail.com, which you can email us and say anything you like. Otherwise, we do also have that Google document open still. If you want to submit listener stories, there's still time. If you want to get one in there, and we'll feature it on our episode. And then after that, we also have our Patreon, which is Wheel of Crime at Patreon. If you want to donate to the show, get a little something for your efforts, call it a day. We also have our social media, which is at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, all at Wheel of Crime. If you want to check us out on there, we have a website. It is www.wheelofcrime.com. If you want to get to know us a little more about us on there, could be cool. Could be cool and fun.
It would be cool and fun. And that's all for our episode today. We will see you next week and talk about some haunted locations. Okay, bye.
Bye.